Hey everybody, it is Wednesday. I'm Texas Garden Guy, and this is the Garden Party. And the tune guitar. This is the Garden Party. We want a garden party with you. We talk about the plants we grow and some things you might not know. The Garden Party. Welcome to Garden Party, everybody. Phil, introduce yourself, dude.
Hey, what's up, Big Fam? What's up, everybody? This is your favorite plant parent and regular parent juggling the two. Back on his favorite podcast of the week. But yeah, I even have one of my nuggets with me because we're just having big feelings because school started this week.
You went to McDonald's? Good. Oh, Mick, you said nuggets, not McNuggets. Sorry.
I got one of my nuggets with me. Yeah. Funny thing, I did go to McDonald's today. I just used the bathroom. So
I always feel a sense of shame after I eat McDonald's. It's like that after a quarter pounder, you eat it and you just sit there and like it's just that why did I do that?
You know, it's of an angel. Yeah, it's okay.
Oh my goodness. Happy to have you, Phil. Happy to have you, dude. How's the weather in North Carolina?
It's actually awesome. High of 82 today, sunny, dry. I had to water my plants today. What's going on with that?
Oh, dude.
I'm doing my fall tomato starts. Dude, Sean, I have my seed block, my soil blocker from you.
Yeah.
That thing's awesome, man.
Awesome.
My tomato starts.
We're going to talk about soil blocking a lot. We're going to talk about soil blocking tonight.
They're like a foot and a half tall. They're huge.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's great. I'd started pumpkins in them one time, and I just had these like massive plants in like a soil block, like a 2-inch soil block. Just crazy.
Oh, I'm going for you with that one because I did the what are the birdhouse gourds?
Yeah,
I put them in some of them, so we'll see how they're a foot tall now. And right there with my tomatoes, but they're about to jump past them, so we'll see.
That's awesome.
It's almost unimaginable how well seeds do in soil blocks. Like we're gonna talk about that. We'll get into that.
Okay,
Josh, what's going on, Josh? How's South Kakalaki?
It is beautiful here, beautiful, dry, much like Phil's weather there on the coast, but it has just been I had to water my raised beds today. I couldn't believe it. For a month I didn't have to water anything, and now I'm back to watering. But fruit trees are loving it, and just my figs, Phil, my figs have just blown up on Fig Island. I have like 8 plants, and all of a sudden they're like 2 foot taller. After a month, I have not looking at them, and so they've blown up. I'm
awesome, man. The in-ground trees are doing well for me. Otherwise, I'm dealing with fig rust. But how cool is it? You get to say you have a fig tree island. That's pretty cool.
and figs are like zucchinis. If you don't check on them for like a day, they get giant and split. Like it's just like a zucchini.
Exactly.
Yeah, I saw Haas posted a post this morning in their stories and said it was 66 degrees outside this morning in Georgia, and I was like, I hate you, Greg. Like it was like 90 already in Houston at 6 o'clock this morning.
It was 63 here.
I gotta get out of Texas. No, I won't do that.
What I do.
We have a returning guest, and I want to say this real quick. So the last time we had this guy on, I'd seen his Instagram, I'd seen his YouTube, and I was like, man, I freaking know that guy. I know that guy from somewhere. And we did a whole podcast talking, and I was like, I know that guy. And we never even brought it up. And so when I was going to bring him on this last time, and I was like, dude, you're from Texas, right? I was like, what part? And he was like, oh, I'm from like Lake Jackson. I was like, I know you. I freaking know you. Like, we got friend zoned by the same girls like in high school. Like,
it took us
a deep
minute.
connection right there.
Yeah.
It's kind of like an Eskimo brother deal.
It was a
we got
mutual
friend
bond
zone.
over that. It was mutual bond over stuff like that. It was but now he's out living in the Ozarks out there in Arkansas, and go ahead and introduce yourself, Sean. Sorry for that weird introduction, but
No,
cool.
it's cool.
It's a small world,
can
man.
I show them how I knew you?
Yes.
Okay, so Destin even sent me a picture. Oh, you can't see it that well.
Oh, it's bad. It's so bad, man. Well, the reason he didn't put 2 and 2 together, it's because up until I joined the Air Force, everybody in my entire life called me Pee Wee. From like the time I was born to the time I went to the Air Force, they called me Pee Wee. Like in school, like everything, because I was 4'11" in high school. I was little. I was a little tiny guy. My freshman year in high school, I was 4'11", 110 pounds. Going into freshman. Yeah.
And that's how I knew you. I only knew you
Yes.
as Pee-wee. So we hung out multiple times as kids. And then now as adults, we're like, wait, we know the same people. Oh, wait, we know each other. This is
Yes,
so
that's so
strange. Like the
so
world is such a small
bizarre.
place
Wow.
sometimes. Like
That's crazy.
8 billion of us, and like you still just run into people. It's cool.
It's fantastic. Well, besides the fact that we know each other, go ahead and introduce yourself, Sean. Let everybody know where you're at and what you do.
Yeah. So Sean Passerra, I'm in Central Arkansas, and we've kind of had the opposite weather of you guys. We're in Zone 7B. We've had a drought the past month and a half, and like we're getting our first rain literally right now. And so we got like 2 days of rain, so that'll be a relief. 2 weeks ago, we had a heat index of 115. It gets hot like it does in Houston, which is where I'm originally from, obviously. But now we got that cold front that came through. And so I think today was high of 80, which for us was like a big relief for building high tunnels. And that's majority of what I do is I manufacture, design, and install greenhouses and high tunnels, and then also design tools for market gardeners and home gardeners. And we make organic fertilizers and potting soils as well. And then kind of a little bit of like education along the way as well.
Yeah, they do a lot of stuff. Like what I like most about it is like y'all make the tools like in Arkansas, right? Like y'all make your broad forks and everything.
The broad forks actually made in Texas. I'm going down to pick up a load on tomorrow morning.
Nice.
But yeah, everything's U.S. made. If I don't make it myself, it's from like a small family-owned regional manufacturer. So that's been cool. It's a value we wanted to have at the beginning, and then it's made us, more like a tariff proof as well. Like when all the tariffs were happening, it's caused shortages for certain things. Like we were always buying American, and so it's made it harder to get things. But it's helped us keep our prices consistent, which has been really cool.
No, that's fantastic, man. So the last time we had you on, I think at the time it was just me and Phil on, because it was early on this year, and you just got over cold and you were real hoarse. But you're the one who talked me and Phil into doing soil blocks.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
And Phil already talked about it, but like I've been using, I'd always use seed starting trays. And, I thought like the best bet was like, if I'm going to use seed starting trays, get like the, at least the not single use ones, like the ones you can throw in the dishwasher, you can run over, and they're great. And they worked fine. But this year I was like, okay, I'm going to do the seed starting trays, but as a experiment, I'm going to try these soil blocks. And man, I'm telling you, just my mediocre version of it did exponential. Like I had crazy root growth, like zero transplant shock. That's the biggest thing, is no transplant shock.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly.
Yes. Yep. And stuff grows big. Like you wouldn't think the blocks would stay together. That's the biggest thing. I was like, oh, these stupid blocks are going to fall apart. They don't fall apart. If you do it right, if you make the right, mixture,
density.
They don't break apart. How did you get started with soil blocking? When did you start that?
I still have my first soil blocker that I got like probably almost 15 years ago now. And like, it's rusty, but still working. It's like surface rust.
They last forever. They last
forever.
Yeah.
They'll last for a long time. You'll pass them down to your kids. I've seen them at antique stores too, before, like where they're like probably a few decades old. It's an old technology. Like, there's examples of, the first transplants were just people gathering plants and packing them by hand with mud. That's how kind of some of the birth of agriculture took place. And so this is just basically creating a metal form that helps you make lots of these blocks really quickly. So we've got ones you can use by hand. We have big ones that you can like stand up and make, up to 35 at a time. And what kind of got me started was Elliot Coleman, who's like the godfather of organic market gardening in the US. He popularized this, brought it over from Europe. It's really common in Europe, like not just amongst home gardeners, but even like the big commercial vegetable growers that do, 100 acres of tomato plants. They do soil blocks, as well as
and Ladbroke is that brand, right? The English brand that's the big one, right?
Yeah, that's like the big one for like the personal use ones. And then there's companies, like different companies that make huge like machines that'll make like thousands of blocks at a time in a big assembly line.
That's so interesting.
And so that's what they use like commercially. So a lot of people are like, oh, soil blocks are for, it's just a novelty kind of thing. But like that's what the big farms, the efficient farms, are using commonplace in Europe, because you don't have to carry around plastic trays, toss plastic trays. Transplanting is, like I said, like less shock. It uses the soil more efficiently. You get a bigger plant with less soil. So there's a lot of reasons to use it. And if you can figure out a way to make them quickly and efficiently, then I think the labor, you save labor down the road. You're not having to restack trays. You're not having to like pinch plants out of pots and trying to pop them out of pots and stuff like that. I can grab 35 blocks of broccoli in one hand and then just walk out to the garden and like break them off and transplant them. So yeah, it takes labor to make the blocks, but it saves you labor in other areas.
If you had to pick out beginner basic tools for soil blocker, let's say that I've never done it, 'cause I haven't. And what's the minimum tools that you'd need to get started?
Yeah, so probably we have like a small, it's like a, we call it the, what's it called? the 4.
I'll pull it up.
The medium 4. So that makes it about like a 2-inch block. And
that's what I have.
Yeah, it works for almost everything. We even have a bigger version of that, which makes 12 of the same size. And it's a great size because you could do cucumbers in there. You just have to transplant them a little early, and you can do lettuce. The lettuce, you could almost get to a full head of lettuce in a 2-inch soil block.
100%.
And so it's a little overkill for lettuce. I do our lettuce in our little 3/4-inch blocks, which is called the mini 20, or the standing 35, which makes like a 1-inch block. That's my favorite one, the standing 35. It's perfect for like all cut flowers, lettuces, anything in the brassica family, and all the alliums. So that's like mostly everything except for peppers, tomatoes, cucumbers. That's like the perfect soil blocker.
And it's an investment. Like sometimes with like if you were doing something like this and you were doing like a market, like you were selling seed starts, it's an investment. But like I've noticed over the years by buying tools like Felcos and things like that it's an investment up front. But if you take care of your tools, they last forever. And these things don't really break down if you take care of them and clean them off over time. Yeah.
And that's one of our big philosophies is like, we want tools that do lots of things, last forever, are American made, and then are recyclable at end of life. So like we use wooden handles, we use metal, so it's like infinitely recyclable. So that's one of the one thing exception to that is our drop seeders, which like drop seeds on top of the soil blocks really quickly. Is those you have to be able to see through them to line up the holes. So those are made out of acrylic, and that's like the only plastic thing that we make.
The razor is that multifunction pool that you were talking about, like that you sent me, and that is my favorite tool in the garden right now.
Awesome.
Yeah, Josh, have you seen this?
No, show me.
So he's got them in short handle and long handle. I've got the short handle version, even though I think it's like 18 inches long. It's pretty sturdy.
Yeah.
But the tool itself has got multiple uses where it's like a stirrup hoe. You can use it like for nailing in staples. You can use it for pulling weeds. You can use it. It's multiple uses. It's really
and
smart.
Then with that little notch on there, you can use it as a pry bar, which Josh, you might appreciate, like pulling up saplings. Like if you got invasive, privet or something, it'll actually pull up privet like a crowbar.
That is because you can get the leverage from the tool. What's the width of that? Is that like an inch and a half? I can't tell the scale.
It's 1.5 inches.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the head itself is 5 inches. And that's kind of like our broad fork that you mentioned earlier. Like I space our teeth on 6-inch centers. So if you click on that second picture on the razor, let's see, down a little bit, right there. Yeah, we get.
I see. So you can work
use our
between
broad fork to actually mark rows on the bed. So the carrots are spaced every 6 inches perfectly, and then the razor's 5 inches wide, so it goes right between the rows, and you can cultivate between those rows at a walking pace. And then same thing with it being 1.5 inches wide. If you planted a row really densely, you could even go through and like kill every other carrot or beet or lettuce and like actually use it to thin your root crops as well.
Yeah, I think the wooden handle is what I don't like. Fiberglass handles. I don't like, plastic handles. I like wooden handles. That I think it's so important.
Yeah, and we actually like as part of that, mission of like sustainability. We actually tomorrow we'll actually release our wood and leather wax. So like I've made a U.S. Ingredient sustainable conditioner for wood, metal, and leather. And so, one of the things that I've seen happen is with the handles, sometimes they're metal. And I had a friend that bought like the cheap, like Vivor cultivator or whatever. And when he put pressure on it, it snapped and his hand slid and it sliced like his hand, like wide open. So metal unless they're a thick metal, but if they're coming from overseas, they're probably not. That's not a good idea. The fiberglass, like it goes bad eventually, and then it can't be recycled. And then if a wood handles has like a poly or a lacquer finish, sometimes that can even trap moisture, and then it causes it to kind of rot and split from the inside. So we use the natural wax coating on all of our wood handles, and then that way you just reapply it every 6 months, and it'll last for years and years and years.
That's usually the first thing I do when I get like a wooden handle too. I if it has any kind of varnish or whatever, I sand it off. I typically will take it and do like a little shugiban. I'll take like my torch and kind of torch it a little bit and kind of I hope like it seals it, and then I'll add either like some walrus oil or some mineral oil. And once a year or so, like usually during the winter time, I'll take all my wooden handle tools, I sand them, and I sometimes I mark them with paint. I learned it from what's his name, Wrangler Star. He shows how to take care of your wooden handle tools. Because wooden handle tools will last forever if you oil them. Because dry wood is no good. You got to keep them oiled. You got to keep them taken care of. And I've seen wooden handle tools with giant cracks. And if you sand them down and you add like some mineral oil, it absorbs it and those cracks go away. Like good
cool.
tools. Oh yeah, you can definitely. Yes, for sure.
And leather's the same way too. Like I was going through like several rounds of boots. Like I probably go through like a pair of Blundstones every year or two. And so I've started actually using the wax that I've made on the Blundstones and on our gloves. And like, I'll probably hit 4 years on the pair I have. So it's keeping them from splitting because like you said, like dry wood's no good and dry leather is no good too.
Yeah.
It's supposed to crack and then loses its water resistant properties. So I just keep putting it on there and keep it moist.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I used to work in construction and I had a nice pair of like Red Wing boots, and every day I would like lather those things up, and by the end of the day they were dusty and dry, but like they were so moist and soft because I just kept them lathered, kept the leather lathered up.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of like a lost. You mentioned soil blocking and Elliot Coleman, and like reading his book New Organic Gardener 15 years ago was like such an inspiration to me to kind of see this French way of doing the market gardening and how and even a lot of English market gardener, allotment type gardener, their style of gardening is just so different than American gardening, where it's like till a whole field, like plant everything in like big spaced apart rows. It's like and in modern gardening, there's just so much like disposable tools. Like these big companies are just trying to sell like disposable crap annually to you. And that European style is just so like, this hoe was given to me by my dad, and I sand it and I oil it and I take care of it. And I put my, I've got garden boots and I've got house shoes, and I like, it's just such a appreciation and dedication to like the tools of the trade, where like our modern American society is just, you just go buy a new pair of shoes every year.
No, I love it. It's, every decision and action is intentional. And so kind of like how a plant behaves, but but that's a beautiful way you said it. And it's like everything has a purpose. And I think there's something to be said for the preparedness, the preparation of a tool, like the cleaning, the maintenance, the care of it. sets the tone. It's like when I was told to like make your bed in the morning, you set the tone for your day when you kind of prep something nicely to reward you later, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. That's a good point.
it's like a pay it forward action, but the result is you get 100 years of something instead of 2 years. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure.
There's definitely, we definitely live in a disposable, mindset, like a disposable era where everything is, plastic. It lasts for a season and you throw it out and you get a new one next year. It's I remember when I first started gardening, I was using something called a tapener, and it was this little plastic ribbon on this little machine, this little handheld grippy thing, and it would go on. It would go around the plant and attach to the stake, and it would rip it off. And I thought about it for a while, and I was like, man, those things just fall into my raised bed or they fall on the ground. And I was like, maybe I should stop using this. Like, and I think as a gardener and as a homesteader, you start to learn like what works, what's more beneficial to your ecosystem, your homestead, your garden, and you start wanting to focus on more sustainable stuff.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
It reminds me a lot. Oh, sorry, Josh.
No, there's a great Netflix documentary. I don't know if you've seen it. It's called Buy Now, The Shopping Conspiracy. And it's basically where all of our clothes that we discard end up. And it's just when you see the trash in mass, like your heart drops because you think we are doing this to ourselves in terms of overconsumption. And the gardening industry does that. I mean, the amount of plastic that it goes through, the amount of like broken, cheap tools. I mean, everything. It's really sad.
I will say though, almost every nursery owner or landscaper I know, they do not toss out pots, especially since the pandemic, because the price of pots, man, has gone up. Like as someone who like has their nursery license and has to buy nursery pots, dude, it ain't cheap. It ain't cheap to buy 3-gallon pots. I mean,
and
people
that
don't
being
realize
said,
that.
if anybody out there, I have some hookups with landscape companies where I'm like, do you have any extra pots? I'm like, we have thousands. And I was like, great, I will take them.
Yep.
And as long as you maintain the clean, because it's like I have a plant nursery at scale, and I find there's no way that it's not just like they're just tossing the stuff and refurbishing it. They're tossing it away. So it's like a great source.
The only thing I would say is if you're getting them from like a nursery or landscaper, you want to make sure you clean them because you don't know what that nursery came from. You don't know what their practices were. So you could be introducing things to your plants in your nursery, your yard. So just always be careful. I don't do the best job of cleaning my stuff, but I should be better about it, by going through and like doing some Blue Dawn soap, maybe even like a bleach solution where you rinse out like your nursery pots. Maybe I need to do a video over that over the winter time and talk about how important that is, because I think we don't focus enough on like cross contamination and how bad it can be for certain things, especially on the nursery aspect.
Yeah. So Sean, besides creating tools, I'm assuming that you're also growing and producing food. And is that for a market garden? Like, is that your goal? Is to sell produce, or is it just for personal consumption?
It is, again, in the future. So I did manage a wholesaler certified organic market garden for 5 years, and we sold produce throughout the state. And then I left that job to start Mindful Farmer. So right now we have 1,000 square feet in the backyard, and I'm just growing staples. We have like one pear tree. I've got a whole border of elderberries around the property.
Oh, what pear tree you got?
What kind of pear?
You caught their interest.
Oriental pear is what the tag said.
Oriental pear. I love when they do that. You're like,
yeah. I have no idea.
What sounds like my dad. It's like my dad said, it's one of them Oriental pears out there. That's what my dad says.
Is that even politically correct anymore? Can you say
I know. I know. It's like, what are we doing?
I think they did start calling them like centennial pears, didn't they? Didn't they change them up a little bit? Because like the trees for Houston,
Asian pears is what they call them.
Okay.
Yeah. This one said Oriental pear, and I'm like, I don't know who wrote this tag or what. I think I just got it. Maybe someone gave it to me. I can't remember even where it came from, but it's been a big producer whenever the squirrels don't get to it. And then we got elderberries, and then our 1,000 square foot home garden. And the goal of that, it's just like crops that I need to I want to demonstrate with my tools, and then mostly like high calorie, high yielding type things. So we either we usually at this point we just like give it away. Like I've got a bunch of hot peppers. I'm trying to breed like a new variety of hot peppers, and so I just give those hot peppers away whenever I don't need them or don't need the seed from them. And then, but the goal is to try and do like 2,000 pounds of food off 1,000 square feet garden. So that's my goal for the year. And if I can get 2,000 pounds, that's almost all of our vegetable needs, with the exception of like a few, specialty things here and there.
That's insane.
So that's the goal.
That's awesome.
I had a thought that I wanted to circle back on when you talk about the tools.
You just muted
When you
yourself.
talk about, oh, sorry, we had a slow meltdown. Somebody's missing me. I'll talk about it in a bit. But
You're good.
That's what I do when I miss a meal. But go ahead. It's a slow meltdown.
But about when you the way you talk about the tools and the way I care about them, because Destin got me those Felco 5s that I still have years, and I sharpen them, I oil them, I have my system. It's like my sport equipment. Like I played 3 sports in high school. I played college lacrosse. I'm an active surfer and rock climber. Like you take care of the really nice equipment you have because you want it to work. You don't mess with your lacrosse pocket. You don't mess with like your surfboard. It has to function. And the way you talk about your tools and describe it is the way an athlete talks about their equipment and how I treat my equipment. And so it's the same habits. Yeah, if anyone out there plays sports, same habits with my tools and even my pots and containers, like the good stuff you hold on to and take care of. Yeah. So that was an analogy I saw.
Yeah. Well, and it kind of comes with like experience of when you're first starting, you might get like the low end, the cheap, like if you start
some Coronas or something.
Yeah. You might get it used, or you might get it like the lower end, and then over time you're like, okay, I see why people drop larger amounts for this thing because it's an investment. It'll last me 10 times longer. So it has been hard to like kind of make that case for our tools because it is such a different approach than like, here's a quick disposable thing you can get off of Amazon or someone trying to sell you on TikTok or whatever, to be like, hey, this is more expensive. It's American made. It'll last 10 times longer. But it does this, and this. So we just, for social media, we just keep putting out what I do and how it's performing and the reason why I design our tools the way we do, and just, see what people think. And sometimes too, like with the soil blocks, it even sometimes kind of takes seeing someone, use it or putting your hands on it. Whenever we do conferences, we're doing one in Missouri, the Homesteading Expo in next weekend. And I bring all the soil blocks and the broad forks and let people use everything. And I have so many people that say, like, I've been watching people use these soil block things on YouTube for like 2 years. And I've always wanted to get one, but I never wanted to get it unless I could touch it. And so they get to like make some soil blocks and they're like, I'm sold. So sometimes it takes like, touching and experimenting with, or borrowing something from a friend and be like, hey, like or a number of people who've, borrowed one of our broad forks from another farmer and then wound up eventually getting their own. It just kind of takes like that, hands-on, this is worth the investment, get something good that's going to last a long time.
For sure.
Yeah. We had the Dirty Punk Gardening on Jeremy and he's in Ohio or West Virginia. I always forget.
Ohio. Yeah.
Ohio. Oh, yeah. And then
he's literally on the border. He's like right on the border.
Right. But I told him, like, he always has the most beautiful carrots. And I was like, dude, how do you grow carrots, man? And he goes, you got a broad fork, dude. You got a broad fork. And I was like, seriously? Is that simple? And he's like, yeah, you got a broad fork, dude. It's different than tilling, even though if you broad fork, there's still going to be people that give you crap on the internet because they're like, oh, you're killing the worms or whatever. But like, it's not the same as tilling. I mean, let's not, and there's shades of gray and tilting and tilling, and it can really get into weeds on certain things. But broad forking changed my life when it came to growing carrots. And so now I do it on every bed before I replant, even my raised bed. So, it is a game changer when it comes to growing. You got a broad fork because your soil gets so compacted.
For sure. And that's my favorite crop to grow is carrots. That's what we did the most of. We did close to like 8,000 pounds a year of carrots for wholesale.
Oh my!
Carrots are by far my favorite. And we had to
set it and forget it. You set it and forget it, man. Yeah. It's nice.
Yeah. And they sit in the ground when it's in the wintertime, so you don't need to like harvest it right away. They're still there. And
Yep.
Barely have to water them. I mean,
Yeah.
That's great.
And not a lot of pest and disease issues. It was just a great crop. But yeah, the broad forking was a big change. And then even when we scaled up and did it by tractor, we used a subsoiler in place of the broad fork, so we could do like a half acre at a time.
what's a
But
subsoiler?
Now, I saw that you have a subsoiler tool, right? That you sell. Like it's a different type.
It's a
fork?
deeper broad fork. It goes about 1.5 feet in the ground.
Okay.
And then so kind of mimics that. Like a subsoiler is like where a plow like scoops the soil and flips it over. A subsoiler is just like a bar that just goes straight down, sometimes like 2-3 feet, and the tractor just basically just creating a huge like a crack behind itself to open up that soil, and it busts through the hard pan, like typically the restrictive clay layer around 18 inches. And so the goal is to try and get roots, a lot further. So even the big guys, the big conventional row crop guys, a lot of them, even if they're not certified organic, they're starting to, there you go. It's a big blade, just cracks the soil open. They're starting to look at some of these no-till approaches. So they may be conventional no-till, and subsoiling is a big one to help kind of bust through that clay layer. Otherwise, your roots will go down about 18 inches and they just go sideways at that restrictive layer.
I spoke with a peach tree orchard farmer here in South Carolina, and he told me that they learned to subsoil before they plant all their peach trees, and they started doing it on their tomato plants. And what he said was, you can water them at half the rate than when he didn't subsoil, because what happens is that water is able to go deeper and store almost like a reservoir. If you think like a self-watering container, because of the subsoiling, because it breaks through that hard pan. It made me really think like, okay, do I need to subsoil when I plant my fruit trees just to let, the taproot go down? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm still debating.
Yeah. I've done that. We planted a peach tree last year, and I used our root broad fork to like broad fork the whole area around the peach tree before we planted it. And it's cool that like if that's what he was seeing just from subsoiling when he initially planted, and then you cut your water bill in half for the next 25, 30 years, like that's
a
crazy.
big difference. That's a huge
awesome.
You hear about those strategies just using trees too, because you think about those oases in the desert where there was literally a case study where that guy planted the trees in the desert, right? And because he planted, the roots got deep enough to hit that groundwater, right? Break through that vadose zone, and all of a sudden you're in the water table almost, and you can like they don't need to be watered as much. So like being strategic with that and applying that to your methods, now you're working smart. You're digging up all those old skills. Like we're getting them back, Sean. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, and I always thought that because I do raised bed gardenings, and every season you got to top your beds off. Here in Houston, we get giant cracks in the ground, and they happen under your raised beds, and soil just goes halfway to China. And so your bed is, halfway full, just washed out, after watering and all the rain and the hurricanes and everything. So I always just thought, it's like, oh, I'm topping my bed off. And so I don't need to do anything. And so this past season, before I top my beds off, what I did have in there, I would broad fork and then top my beds off. And then sometimes I'd even go through and kind of do it the same with the new soil, kind of getting a little bit of cohesion, and just seeing amazing results, not just with the carrots, but with everything. Like everything did better. Yeah.
Yeah. And even for both water and nutrients, I try and like tell people to think of them as like a bank account, right? Like you have to make a deposit before you can make a withdrawal. And in hydrology class, we learned about how water moves on soil, and if the soil is dry, it can just run off. It'll become hydrophobic, and so even though you're getting all this rainfall, it's not actually recharging. And
we have to think about that on rainfall events too, right? So the rate of change if you went to dry soil during an abrupt rainfall event versus a slow emergent.
Exactly. And so the bigger the macro channels you have in the soil, the more water you can catch and the greater your infiltration rate. So which like probably across the country, typically we have most of our moisture in the like spring and winter. And so if you can use that opportunity, whether you're in the high desert or, the Gulf Coast, to capture and like refill all your soil, and then you're using the broad fork not only increase your infiltration, but also help those roots get down deeper each season, because once that root goes 2 feet and it dies, it creates a macro channel. And if you don't till, then the next root goes down 2.5 feet, and then 3 feet, and then 4 feet. And I'd found research on like dryland tomato farming that they were finding like root hairs as far down as 8 feet. And I mentioned that in a video, and people are like, I've never seen tomato roots go any more than 2 feet. And I'm like, you've been 2 feet into the soil. Like, I don't know. Just,
no one goes that far. Yeah.
You got to dig a whole excavator to dig a trench. But they're finding that they can easily hit those depths. Corn can hit 5-6 feet.
Corn goes deep. Corn definitely
goes
deep.
It can go deep but if you do the typical plow method, it'll go 18 inches, hits the hard pan, and then it just goes sideways. Yeah. And so, you're able to like reach that water from the snowfall 6 months ago. And so I only started watering this last 2 weeks for the whole year. Put out a sprinkler because we went out of town for a week. And we've been in this drought. And now that it's rained, I won't even water again probably the rest of the year. So I pulled up all my drip irrigation because we just don't need it. Like the soil's soaking it up and creating this reservoir for the plants.
Now, do you leave dead plants on the ground to help, like a sort of a regenerative, type farming?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll do kind of a combination of like cover crops. Like in some areas, I've got a crop rotation, even in that little garden, where I'll overwinter a cover crop and then crimp it down to terminate it. Like we do hairy vetch. I'll terminate it. I plant my tomatoes directly into it. Tomatoes grow almost no weeds all year long. I chop the tomato vines. I leave them right on the ground, and then I plant my brassicas right into the tomato vines. And so I go like 2 years even between broad forking that area. Like no soil gets disturbed, and there's almost no weeds. And I just keep mounting that material on top of each other.
That's crazy.
Have you looked at any of the permaculture techniques with swales to help distribute water through sloping mechanisms?
Yeah. I did that at the bigger farm a bit. We try and the farm area I was at was like at kind of at the toe slope of a larger hill. So it created a swell on the north side, uphill of the garden to help slow that water down, catch it, soak into the garden soil, and help keep like real bad runoff from happening in like high rainfall events.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's incredible. This
awesome. Takes me into another question. And your methods of soil cultivation. So I want to hear what's going on the top of your soil. You alluded to it with cutting your tomato plants, brassicas, rotating your crops, but like getting that nice organic thick bed. Like say someone start from scratch and they're going out there. How do we get going if we're just going right into our ground? What do I need to assess and look at?
Yeah. I'm a big fan of growing in ground and not a big fan of raised beds for several reasons. It just kind of depends on your situation too, though. If you're like Destin's in Houston, you get crazy rainfall events. Super, you might actually be just in a swamp, and you got to come up out of the water a bit. And if you're in Arizona, you might actually build a concave garden bed to catch water, and they call it a waffle garden. So it's literally the opposite it's a lowered bed instead of a raised bed. So it just kind of depends what part of the country you're in and what you're trying to do. But if you're in a new space and you want to grow in the soil, assuming you have soil and you're not on bedrock again, getting a soil test is always going to be, I think, kind of step one to just see what is there in terms of like your macronutrients. And what we did for like our backyard garden is, and for the farm is for the backyard garden, to start the garden, I put tons and tons of leaves to get that organic matter. We don't have a good composter in Arkansas. If the one composter that does exist in Arkansas is listening, I'm sorry, but there's usually plastic and crap all in it. And so we didn't use any compost on the organic farm. We tried to do cover cropping and leaves and wood chips and walk pads and stuff like that to build organic matter, kind of compost in place. And that's what I do in my home garden. I don't actively make compost, and I don't buy any compost. I put wood chips in the walk paths. After a year, those go up on the beds, and then I refill the walk paths. But to get started, I got a bunch of leaves, put them like almost 2 foot deep, surrounded it with fencing, and put chickens in it, and just let them sit there for almost 6 months. And so they went all winter into the spring. They killed the grass. They worked in the leaves, and then it was just light, fluffy material. Got the soil test balanced for our trace minerals and macros. And now, like,
how did you balance? Did you like azomite or something?
Yeah. So, so we have, we carry,
I was going to ask you about, because I was talking to Mike today. I was with Mike last couple of days. Yeah, Mike Fudge.
Oh,
yeah.
I keep want to call him Mike Fudge, but it's Mike Fudge, and he listens to the podcast. The sweetest guy I've ever met.
He's great.
But he's azomite rep.
He's another Texas guy, and he just moved up here to Conway. So that was how we met.
Yeah.
So azomite is a volcanic ash that is full of almost all the trace minerals that plants need. And then our other macros like NP and K, we get from feather meal. And so we carry azomite, feather meal, worm castings on our site. And we're actually going to bring in alfalfa meal, blood meal, bone meal, biochar, and rice hulls as a few other things we'll have next year. So I just, what I've kind of seen in almost all gardens across most of the U.S. is they typically have sufficient phosphorus and potassium, unless they're just really worn out from some reason. Maybe they were previously like a farm or conventional farm or something. Usually what they're lacking is nitrogen. So we use feather meal, which is hydrolyzed chicken feathers. It's a high nitrogen, but it's a slow release fertilizer, helps rebalance that. And I would say most of the time when I'm getting soil tests from folks, if they've used a manure-based compost, like from cows, or maybe they're cleaning out the chicken coop on the garden, they tend to have too much phosphorus anyways. And so the nitrogen that doesn't have any phosphorus in it, like in the feather meal, helps rebalance those macronutrients. The other thing too to be aware of is like pH. So that's part of your soil test. They'll test for pH, and you can adjust that with lime. For our commercial farmers here in Arkansas, I actually do like free soil consultations. So if you are a commercial farmer, you can send me your soil test, and we'll walk through it and get a fertility plan for it.
Cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. And so that's kind of the start, is just to like clear. And I have a video I'm doing later this week about like our steps to weed management, organic weed management. And so my 3 steps are to clear, cultivate, and then cover. And so starting with like zero grass and perennial weeds is the first key step. So you could use animals like the chickens. You can also use a silage tarp, which we also carry on our website. So just like cover it. You're blocking out the sun for an extended period of the growing season, and you're killing everything underneath it. Sometimes if I'm just starting, I'll even do that a couple times. I might occultate or solarize. I'll put down the plastic, kill everything. I pull it back. I broad fork. I water, let all the new weeds come up, and then I put it right back on. And then I might do that 2 or 3 times. And then I've flushed out the seed bank, and then it's almost no weeding after that. I have not weeded.
That's the tricky part, seeding out, getting rid of those weeds. Because if you dig up soil, those weeds get exposed, the weed seeds, and it's just like mayhem sometimes.
I used to watch a lot of Justin Rhodes, and he was big on the silage tarps. People need to know the difference between silage tarp and regular tarp. It's a water permeable, right? Silage tarps are water permeable, correct?
No, they're not.
They're not. Okay, I thought they were.
No, they use them to like cover silage up north for like dairy farms and stuff, and so it helps protect the silage or the hay kind of stuff from moisture and rain, and even it kind of causes it to ferment a little bit, which also helps preserve the silage. We use them down here in the south and in gardening world, horticulture world, to occultate, which is like to block out the sun. So they are impermeable, and so I've heard of people though still like putting it down and then like killing stuff and then like popping holes in it and planting sweet potatoes, and the vines grow on top of it and like kind of does double duty. But then you got holes in it after that, so it wouldn't be super reusable.
And there's 2 ways to use it, right? Because there's a white side and a black side, right?
Yeah. Sometimes they call it panda plastic, and so there's a black side and a white side, and so it's only going to work during the growing season. Yeah. So if you, we've got different sizes on our.
And you have to let the weeds come out first so that they get a chance to sprout.
Yeah,
Video is
That's
cool.
the idea.
exactly. Like you, one strategy you can do, there's a few different strategies, is it's only going to kill things when they're actively growing, right? So like if you put it all winter for Bermuda grass, the Bermuda grass is already dormant, so it's not going to have any sort of like killing impact. What I have done before to try and speed up that process is I put down clear plastic through the winter and then got everything to grow and like reemerge early. And then I put the black plastic on top of it and killed it. So it like broke its dormancy too early, used up all its energy, and then we covered it up with the
You
silage.
were like, gotcha.
Can you plant that same season afterwards, or do you have to wait a whole nother year?
It depends on the time of year you do it. Like if you did it, like we're in 7B, so we have a long enough planting season. We could plant tomatoes twice. So I could do it all spring and still kill all those grasses and then plant, June, July, August. But I definitely have to go into enough of summer to kill the grass and perennial weeds. Nut sedge is another really bad one that'll just like go for months. And so you're like, how on earth have I not exhausted this plant's root system yet? So that really helps. And in the summertime, we also use them like on the carrots with the white side up. It'll actually keep it cool and humid underneath that tarp. So we'll put them black side up and kill any weeds. We pull it off. We seed the carrots. I throw a handful of radish seeds like out into the field. And then we put the white side up. And I just keep checking on it like day 3, 4, 5. And when I see that the radishes have come up, but the carrots are still like 2 or 3 days away, we pull it off and then we hit it with flame weeder. We like flame weed the whole field. And then we basically like forced all the early weeds that come up with the radishes up, hit them with a flame weeder, and then the carrots come up like the next day or the day after. And then it's like a field free of weeds.
I think that's the biggest thing with carrots, right? Is that they take a long time to germinate, and people like me overplant the seeds too close to each other. I definitely planted too close to each other. It seems crazy to not put that many seeds out. But then you find out 6 months, like here in Texas, like 6 months later, I was like, yeah, I wish I wouldn't have planted this many seeds. Like, it's just like I got all these seeds. Why wouldn't I plant them?
And they're pretty cheap. And but if you want those like long straight carrots for market, you've got to give them space. And there's some like old adage that's like sometimes the best fertilizer is space. If you plants too densely, they compete for resources. If you give them more space, they have more resources per plant. And so that's kind of what we learned for the carrots. And so we plant them 1 inch apart. Each seed is 1 inch apart. And so, because when we learn that really quick, whenever we're planting a half acre at a time, there's no way you can go through and thin that. So it has to be just perfect germination. Every seed germinates. Every seed is 1 inch apart from its neighbor.
Yeah.
I had the perfect crop of carrots this last winter, and I had gotten carrots 3 or 4 years prior, like really nice rainbow carrots. It was awesome until this vole came in underneath my tall raised beds, and every carrot was like Bugs Bunny, pulled everyone through, and all I was left with were these holes every 2 inches.
It's real. They really do that.
It was just like that. I couldn't believe it. It was almost like a joke. I was like, is this really happening? Or did somebody come in here just to mess with me?
Yeah.
Did you get it on video? Because if it's not on video, it didn't really happen.
Yeah, I did. I got it on not the vole itself, but like the actual like holes that it left.
Oh, okay. I'll say you're missing out. If you'd had it, watch falling through, like
my new cat does like voles, and she did bring one already. So I'm hopeful for this winter. We'll see.
Yeah.
Josh, you got some trivia for us, dude.
I got trivia. Are y'all ready for trivia?
Yes, Sean. So since Josh has come on as a regular host, he's been handling like the weekly trivia for us, and he's got a special one for us tonight.
All right.
Usually I do like name that plant, and it's, okay, here's the plant. Here's something about the plant. Here's a name. And then we let everybody in the chat go first, and then we guess it if they can't. But because you're such a awesome handmade tool guy, I am doing tools. So we're going to do name that tool. And I got some interesting ones. I'm not sure that you have heard of all these. So we're going to start with the really easy ones, and then we're going to get to more difficult ones. Are you ready?
Sean the Tool Man.
So ready.
Okay. So I'm going to start reading it, and then I'm going to bring it out. This old-fashioned woodworking and gardening tool has a long straight blade with handles on each end. It is designed to be pulled towards the user to shave thin slices or wood or bark off of it. It's often used as a shaping tool for handles, furniture, parts, smoothing logs, and it requires both handles, control, and precision. What is this tool called? Let's see if anybody has it in the...
I think Bowtie got it already.
Is that it? Because it's like a planing tool.
I've always heard it called a draw knife. A draw knife. It's for like removing bark. Like one like that would be for like removing bark from like a tree. And I've also been like, I think called like spoke shaves too. Like spoke shaves is a little different, but a draw knife is the term, I think, right?
I call it a draw shave or a draw knife.
Yeah.
And I actually make my own pine bark nugget mulch from this when I down a pine tree, and then I'll go through and shave all the bark off of it.
Yeah.
And then use the bark as a mulch.
That's awesome, dude.
What?
So, Bowtie wins that one. I think I have that exact same draw knife.
Yeah, it's got some nice wood handles. But now I need to oil the handles now that you've mentioned about that.
There you go.
I'll get your address and I'll send you some, Josh.
Yes.
Or that wax.
Okay. All right. This one I think you'll get. This one's pretty easy. I've probably shown this one before. This is a favorite tool of mine. It's a versatile hand tool. Features a sturdy double-edged blade. One side is sharp for cutting, and the other side is serrated. I've got it in this nice little case here. And so it's commonly used for digging, dividing plants, weeding, and even cutting roots with its serrated edge. I'll give you a little hint. It's actually got a Japanese origin, and the meaning of the word is to dig. It was first used by farmers harvesting mountain vegetables and herbs years and centuries ago. What's the name of the tool? Oh man, our chat is
probably on it.
Yeah,
so good.
I always call it a hori-tori though. I always say hori-tori, not hori-hori. I don't know why.
That sounds like hoity-toity.
I know. I think hori-tori is like a battle from WWE, like in Japan.
Sounds like a nickname for someone in high school.
Tora Bora, or like you said. I don't know. Yeah.
I just like that it's sort of a curved blade. It's not a straight blade.
It's like so you can shovel with it.
Yeah.
You see some bolt planers that are kind of like that. That are. I'm not a hori-hori guy. I don't know why. I'm not. I like a longer handled shovel. Like a longer handled tool is my thing.
When I made the razor, that was kind of I've never been a big fan of the hori-hori, and just most shovels, because it's like when you hold it, your wrist isn't at the right angle, and so they make trowels where like the handle comes out perpendicular, and that's kind of the thinking with the razor is you can actually flip it over and put the teeth side down, and then hatchet the soil like you would a hatchet, pull it back and put your plant in. It kind of gives you a little more power to not have to
get one of these razors,
twist your wrist.
I love it.
All right, this one was popularized in the late 1970s through a memorable TV infomercial and became famous for its catchy slogan and promise of making gardening fun again. What is this tool?
Oh, I know what it is.
Let's see what they say.
I've never owned one of these. I know what it is, though. I know what it is.
I just like the sound of the tines.
It sounds like six cowboys walking down like Main Street on a shootout.
What's cool is it's got these little you can loosen up the tines and remove them.
Garden weasel.
I literally got this from my father-in-law. He's like, "Yeah, I've had that longer than you've been alive." So,
what is it called? It's a weasel, huh? It's a weasel.
It's a garden weasel.
I've never heard it called that.
A garden weasel. And what it is you you run it along the ground, and it sort of pulls everything up through this tining action. So as it turns, it sort of pinches and pulls and releases on the backside. Very popular in the 70s.
I've never used one before. That's interesting.
It works too. It works really well as a tilther too. It just kind of lightly mixes that top like 1 or 2 inches of soil, and so you could kind of use it almost like a harrow.
See, I thought it was like an aerator. I always thought it was like an aerator for your lawn.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was, but no.
I've used it, and it works really well for like pulling stuff up and just sort of messes with the ground, pulls things out. It's pretty neat.
The next time I see one at a garage sale, I'll get it and try it out. I'm not going to buy one. I'll find it. I found some of my best garden tools at garage sales, by the way.
Could you imagine Destin at the garage sale and the guy's like, "What are you doing in my yard?" You're like, "I'll take it.
I'll take it. It's not for sale, man. Get out of my garage."
Yeah, garage sale.
All right. So, Sean, you like old tools. This one is 100 years old. No joke. This tool is 100 years old. It's a traditional tool. Now, you can get this either long-handled or short-handled. I've got the short-handled curved blade, which is attached to a handle, making it ideal for one-handed use. It's got a sharp inner side. It's been used for centuries to cut grass.
Nobody is breaking into Josh's house.
And really, it actually came about in Egypt and Roman times. So they relied on this for reaping crops.
Yeah.
I've heard scythe and sickle.
I've heard. Oh yeah.
It's actually it's funny that you have this up because I used to watch Forged in Fire when it was on, and this is actually based on a Egyptian like weapon they would use in war. There was like a hybrid like sword / scythe, and it was really interesting looking. It has like a longer blade, like a sword end, and then like that. It's really interesting. Do you use it very often?
No, I saw this and I was like, I will never. I don't want to. First of all, it's 100 years old. I don't want to break it, and my father-in-law get mad because I borrowed this from him. And
does he use it?
He does. He's had it for his whole life. Like it was from his father, so it was not. This is an old tool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he called it a scythe. I've heard sickle before, but you know when you've got a lot of grass you need to cut.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen Justin Rhodes and his kids used to have like mowers. They go out and mow the fields with those things. They would have them like on a lever and they'd swing around. I mean,
with like a handle, like almost like a handle on one side. Yeah, it's crazy.
Hey, y'all are Amish. They probably do it like that. It's like a sickle mower or whatever.
All right, this one's so easy. I don't even know why I brought it out, but let's just see if everybody knows what this is. Destin, I've seen videos with you using this thing.
I'm a fan.
But I got one, and it's great for, you know, when you want to use a drill to plant something and you're just really lazy. You don't feel like digging in hard ground. So I'm not lazy. Efficient is the word.
My favorite way to do it is if I'm mixing up a small batch of soil, I'll use it like in a 5-gallon bucket to like blend up like a batch of like seed starting mix. Like that's kind of nice.
That's a good idea. It's like a paint mixer for soil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my 9-inch wide one, I use it to dig post holes for my fence. It's been nice. I mean, there's a lot of uses for it.
And Sean, if you've got any commentary on best uses for these tools, please jump in because I'm relying on you.
Do you use an auger much, Sean?
So kind of. So because we do a crop rotation, I've got to like move my trellis system for our tomatoes and cucumbers, and we've got a whole video on YouTube about that. And so I actually just use the auger to pop holes in the ground so that those posts just kind of slide into them.
Nice.
And I use it for narcissus too. Like when we transplant some like tulips, we do a little bit tighter together, but like bulbs that are further apart, those augers work awesome for that. Get the depth you need.
That's awesome.
Fantastic.
All right, I brought this one just for you, Destin, because I know of your recent hobby where you might be in a gravel field and there might be something too large, a rock that's too large. So you might need this tool, which is something that I've used when I was a part of that hobby, but it's a very specific type of hammer. If you've ever seen Shawshank Redemption, it was used by the main character to shape rocks.
I love that.
Does anybody use one of these?
I had to for graduate school because I was in geology.
I forgot you were a geologist. Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Our geology department, we're notorious partiers. And so if you could open a beer with the end of the rock hammer, you were like,
That's legendary.
Phil, we want to see it. Phil, we want to see it.
Yep.
I'll dig mine up. I think it's at my office actually, but
rock hammer, right? Rock
Yes,
hammer.
the rock hammer, and I love this
work.
one.
Though.
Yeah,
they work.
And they work. They break up rocks if you want rocks to be small. Okay.
Nice.
If you ever need to get fossils out of West Virginia, those are great.
All right, I'm not sure that y'all are going to get this one. Like I said, it gets harder. This is a traditional tool with a long straight blade at a right angle, and it was used to make shingles back in the day. You actually strike it with a wooden mallet, and I've made my own homemade wooden mallets with this, and I've actually used it to make kindling and shingles. I've actually made shingles with this.
That's
really
No
fun
way. That's
to do.
awesome.
And so what you do is you get a wooden mallet, you sit this on top of the log, and you bat it down, and then you use the leverage up here to split it away from the main log, and it forms perfectly sized shingles. But do you know what the name of the tool is called?
Is that right?
Is that correct?
No, that's not right. As I said, they're going to get tougher. And this one's actually pretty well made in terms of like construction. It's got like a really long bolt that goes up here with a nice washer under there. And it's heavy. It's pretty heavy.
This is some Wrangler Star stuff because he does a lot of woodworking and he talks about stuff like this. And I can't remember what it's called, but I've seen it before. He actually doesn't even use a wooden mallet. He takes like a log and hits it like that, like on top to split other stuff.
Yeah, and it's got a pretty thick, metal
edge on
what is it
there.
What is it called, Josh? What is it called?
It's called a fro.
Bro, that's right.
Bro, interesting.
Yep, and it's a woodworking tool, and it's great if you want to make kindling. And I've done all kinds of stuff with it. I actually done a lot of cedar log kindling for my fire starting with it.
That's interesting. I knew that name. Oh yeah, Bowtie came in right after you said it, Fro.
A Frodo.
All right, this is the last one, and then we'll wrap it up here. This is probably one of my favorite land clearing tools. It's sort of a mix between, I got to cover the other side because it's got the name on it. It's sort of a mix between a machete and a hatchet. It's got a broad curved blade and a hooked end for grabbing and cutting. It was actually developed in the 1940s and was originally designed as a versatile land clearing implement for farmers and foresters. Its reputation grew when it was adopted by the U.S. military in World War II as a standard issue survival tool and brush clearing tool. Even today, it's valued for its rugged design, ability to chop, trim, and clear with efficiency. This thing is bad A. I'm going to be honest.
Yes, it really is.
One of my favorite tools.
Is it a hatchet thing?
It's not, but that's a good point. But what you'll notice, too, is on the curved part, this part is sort of thinner right here. So it's got like a curved blade on the backside and then a
little
slowly curved blade on this side. It's got a really nice wrap tight handle and a way to protect your hand when you're doing a lot of heavy work. And what's really nice is it comes with a whetstone, so you can sharpen it as well. If you guys have ever done any whetstone sharpening.
I'm interested in using it on sugar cans, whatever that means.
Yeah, I think someone said Woodsman Pal. That's what I knew it is.
Woodsman's Pal.
Yeah,
you got it right.
A Woodman's Pal.
That's it. It's the Woodman's Pal.
Is that just the company name, or
is that the brand?
Sure, but that's what I've known it as. That's the brand. But look at that, 1941.
That's cool.
And it's a pretty fun tool, and it's heavy. It's got some weight to it.
We use those.
Coach Chavi says, and a beer opener.
And the beer.
I don't know.
Why even make a tool if it doesn't also open beer?
If it doesn't also open a beer. Yes, but does it open a beer?
I mean, anything can open a beer. I mean, come on. Like, it's not that they're
I've seen
made to
people
be
use
open.
water bottles to open beer. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that ends our trivia for tonight. Thanks for playing, everyone.
Great
Sean,
job,
Josh,
Phil.
That was
for
awesome.
being a part of
man.
it.
That was
I love a
sick.
good tool, man.
I love that.
A bill hook. Okay.
Is bill hook what it's called?
I don't know. Maybe that's the official like type of tool.
Interesting. My
That-
keyboard
that
stopped
does it.
working, or I would look.
Looks familiar.
There's big ones, big versions of it too, where they're on like almost like an axe handle. And
Okay.
Oh. That's interesting.
I think it's the Woodman's. I have a lot of really tall brush clearing tools, but they're so heavy and sharp. I didn't want to bring them in the house, like a brush clearing axe and all kinds of stuff.
So whenever I type in Woodsman's Pal, I get a Who-Man hook machete. A Woodsman Pal, I think, is the general term. Hook'em machete. I mean, I think Woodsman's Pal. It's like Kleenex. You know, Kleenex is for tissue, but it's
tissue. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like bill hook is like the general term.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Bowtie Life was right. Bill hook machine.
Bowtie is always right about things, man. I hate it. No, where did you get your inspiration for the razor? How did you get your inspiration to making that tool?
Yeah. Gosh, when I first started market gardening, I was like tasked with developing this farm, getting it to profitability, and had a budget, and it was really hard not to like see the guys on YouTube and feel like I need to go through the Johnny's catalog and get one of every type of tool. That was like, if I want to be like them, I gotta have all these things. And what I found was like, there were so many tools that I wound up buying that we didn't use or gave away or broke. And so my whole philosophy, and this probably makes me a bad business owner, but I want to sell as few tools as possible and that last the longest time. So I may be self-defeating here in terms of our modern capitalist society, but that's my philosophy. I'm gonna stick with it. I want to have as few things as possible, because that makes me a more successful gardener and farmer and more profitable if I don't have a lot of stuff and if it lasts a long time and does lots of things. So that was kind of the thinking of the razor, was like, hey, I like my stirrup hoe for walk paths, but it doesn't do my beds very well. I like my collinear hoe, but I can't chop with it. So then I need a hoe to go chop. So now I need 3 different tools. And like every time I stop, in our farm is 3 to 5 acres, I've got to go walk to the tool rack to change out everything. And then I saw a few different companies came out with like interchangeable heads. And we tried that. And anytime there's a moving part, it's going to eventually fail. It dramatically increases your chance of failing. And so I was like, how do I design just the shape of a really simple head that makes it affordable, without making it too complex to where the price becomes too high and it's inaccessible, but it does the most number of things. Like, how can it hammer landscape staples and pull them up? How can it, pry a sapling, but still tenderly cut little carrot seedlings? And so that was the shape. I just played around with enough different configurations of it to where I really landed on, something, if you hold it sideways, it kind of looks like a hammer. And so it has the profile of a hammer, but then in a different orientation, it's more of like that, the trowel, the right angle trowel I was talking about. And then a different way, if you hold it thumbs down, there's a more aggressive angle on the blade, and it works like a stirrup hoe. If you put your thumbs up and use a sweeping action, it works more like a collinear hoe. Put it on its end and it creates a furrow. Put it on its like at an angle, it throws the furrow back on top of the potatoes or whatever. So just trying to like play with it enough until it does all the different things I need it to do. So in my home garden, I just have my broad fork, and it just stays out in the garden. I don't even put it up anymore. I just put it in the end of a bed, and then I hang my cultivator on it. And that's my tool rack. It's the only 2 tools I use in the garden. We've gotten rid of basically everything else. And I've got like one pair of pruners, and that's it. That's about it.
That's awesome.
I
need this.
I just added the razor, the long handle razor to your cart. I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah. This is my razor. It's real easy to take the blade off, and so if you ever do break a handle, you could replace it really. Like it was really easy. I think it was 9/16 nuts to take them off, and you just pop them through. And I took it off, and I did my Shukiban or whatever mineral oil, and then I put it right back on, and I love it. It's fantastic.
Bow tie life. If you can break that, I will send you all your money back and a new tool.
It's not cheap wood. It's like oak, right? Yeah, I don't trust bow tie. I don't trust bow ties. So be careful with that.
You're gonna film yourself
you can't drive over it, or no. I've even like it's structural steel, so it's not just standard plate steel. It's about 50% stronger. It's what they make bridges and skyscrapers out of. And then the handle is northern ash, and so it's a denser wood than southern ash, and which is far denser than pine or anything like that.
Yeah, ash is hard as hell, and ash is really hard.
Yeah. And then we it's all galvanized too, so it's gonna not rust.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot.
And it's hard enough to where it won't bend. I mean, you can like just wail on the ground, and you can pull up, saplings with it. It's not going to bend on you, but there's enough flexibility to where, it's not going to, break or anything like that. There's a softness to it. And then same thing with putting the blade on it. It's a hard enough metal to where it's going to hold a blade, but soft enough to where you can keep, hitting it with a double angle file and just keep it razor sharp.
Yeah. The short handle is 19 inches long and the long handle is 66 inches long. And pretty much all my garden tools are the 18, 19 inches long. Like they're not long handles, but they're not the short handles either. I like the little extra leverage. And so
and it is a little long. Like I've had some people, like particularly like if someone's a shorter person, they're like, this is a little long, but then they start kind of playing around with it, and they're like, oh, I can reach 2 beds over.
Yeah.
And so with when I'm cultivating, I can even like use the end of it and like reach to the other bed and grab like a weed out of it and then put it in the bucket without having to bend over or even move.
Oh man.
Yeah. Well, so and guess what? It's made of wood. If it's too long, you can cut it. You can cut it and make it as long as, and guess if you cut it too short, you can go get another replacement, handle. You can do that too.
Yeah. We'll have other replacement handles on there. And those are actually manufactured 15 minutes from our warehouse. So like I said, we're trying to keep everything as local as we can, from a company that's been around for like 80 years or something here in Arkansas.
When are you getting your soil blockers back in stock? Because I was about to check out with the razor and a soil blocker. You already told me on both, but I need to know.
Yeah, we're back ordered on the mediums, unfortunately. And then there is like the larger size of the medium, but it's obviously more expensive because it makes 3 times the amount of blocks at a time. So probably be a few weeks on those mediums.
Okay, I'll come back to get that.
Yeah, I got the mini 20s or the little ones, and I probably won't do those anymore just because it seemed like they dried out really fast. It seemed like the little ones dried out too fast for me on that. I probably just the 2-inch by 2 inch is probably the smallest. I'll go on that, but you also do your cedar trays, and I was doing plastic trays, so you can do your cedar trays, set those in water, and they kind of like wick through the cedar. That's really interesting.
Yeah, Elliot Coleman did the brought soil blocks over, and obviously before plastic, people were still making soil blocks, and they'd make them in wooden trays. Back in the good old days when all the boxes and crates were made by hand out of wood, which is something I miss. But one of the things I found with some of the plans I'd found about making trays is they were typically made out of plywood, and plywood is not a good mover of water because you've got the glue in between each layer. Yeah. And so I started making them out of cedar fence boards, and I've got plans on our website that are free, and I've got a whole YouTube video. It's 15 minutes long about how to make these trays. They come out to $3 a piece, which is competitive with the plastic trays that are out there, the ones that last.
Oh yeah.
And the cool thing about them is they've got a groove down the middle, and then you can set them in a tray of water, and it wicks the water through the wood, through the cedar, and then into the soil block. So they're never over or underwatered. It's just like perfect all the time.
What thickness is the wood for the cedar planks?
They're just standard. They're standard. Yeah, they're fence pickets.
The fence pickets
I see.
go $4 a pop.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
That's
Oh,
easy.
yeah.
Yeah, so 2 boards makes 3 trays, and like our 1,000 square foot garden, I think we'll be able to hit our 2,000 pound vegetable goal. I only use 4 trays to start all of our plants, and so that's also the other kind of winning feature of the soil blocks, because each block fits into the next size. I can start everything in small blocks, and then as they pot up, the cool season crops go out, and then it makes room on the trays for the warm season crops. And so our whole garden is just, I use a stainless steel dog kennel liner. And then there's 1 grow light above it, and then the 4 wooden trays. And that produces like 300 plants that covers our entire garden.
That is so cool.
insane.
I love the realism of this. And it just reminds me of like when you talk about Europe, like when you go to like Italy and France, like everybody has a garden, and it's just there. And it's just an extension of their kitchen, like they say, potager gardens in France. Yeah. And this talk, I was talking with Anthony, Millennial Gardener, and he was talking about this. He's like, you see all these farmlands that get developed into neighborhoods, and people are like, it's all gone. He's like, it's not all gone. There's all these yards right here. You just keep growing stuff in. I always thought that was a fun analogy. So the way you describe, like, it only takes 4 trays in like 1,000 square feet, and you can have 2,000 pounds. And I'm like, it's brilliant, man. So I don't know. You really hit a funny bone with me. I really that resonated.
And Phil has his dual citizenship. He's a citizen of the world. He's got his Italian citizenship as well. Yeah. So he's a world traveler.
And he cooks really good Italian food. So
oh man, I need to come see you then.
Come on, hang out. I'll cook you a meal. We'll hang out. We'll fish it out of the garden and cook it up. And then
I put the link for the site in. It's if you go to resources, that's where you see all the stuff he's got. You've got the seed starting template, garden planning and self evaluation. That's pretty cool too.
Yeah, and all those things are $0. Like I'm not trying to gatekeep any of that stuff. So I just want to see more people using the wooden trays, getting rid of the plastic. I think it just all kind of fits together, and that's so I feel like I need to do a better job. Communicating that, figuring out how to communicate that on social media of like, okay, you want to grow most of your vegetables. You need 1,000 square feet. You need 1 broad fork, 1 razor, 4 to 6 wooden trays, 1 grow light. You're set.
I see a combo bundle in your future for sale.
Yeah.
See. All you need.
Yeah.
Starter kit.
Yeah. You could sell your trays. I know they probably cost like $2 to make. You could probably sell them for $10 to $20 a piece, and people will just buy them from you, like when they buy the soul blockers, because some people just don't want to. Like some people just don't want to mess with it at all.
Yeah. Well, and it does, like, it takes a table saw to rip them, and so it is a little bit, especially if you don't have that stuff,
or even just like a digital product of you coaching us through cultivating your backyard. Like I have a plot of space that, like, if you'd be like, okay, and like every month it's like, here's what I'm doing for March, here's what I'm doing for April. Like I would love to follow along and watch and like be part of that crew on how to like cultivate my space, tap into that deeper water for my fruit trees, like all of that stuff. So
my goal is to have I'm going to call them like a playbook. And so, because we mostly do high tunnels, I want to have a playbook for every size high tunnel for every zone. So like you're in zone 4 and you have a 20 by 36. You're in zone 6 and you have a 30 by 96. Here's my playbook. Here's what I would do month by month. It's just
got it.
Time and money to make those things.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I have that.
You can sell that with the high tunnel as an add-on.
Yeah. I just want to make it for free. Just here's our playbook. Use mine for farmer. Here's resources to help you succeed. That's what
and we haven't even got into the fact that you manufacture high tunnels. You like you do that like all there in Arkansas. Like y'all bend everything. Y'all do like everything there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we I started off. I bought like a pipe bending jig, and then bolted it to a trailer in my front yard, or like on the street. We don't even have sidewalks. So I was just out in the street, and it was like a Wayne's World where like they're playing hockey and they
Car.
they all do. I'd be like bending pipes and then like car, and I'd have to like move out of the way and then bend more pipes. So that was year one. And then now we got a warehouse. I've got 2 guys that are just doing an awesome job. Doing the manufacturing and the pipe bending, and we're shipping tunnels across the country now to Virginia, California, Washington State. And we can ship these big tunnels all over.
Congratulations,
Oh
man!
my
That's
gosh, I
freaking
love
awesome,
that.
dude.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Didn't you say you did like the longest one you've ever done recently?
Well, we just did this size, the 30 by 96. So the very first ones I used to make were only 14 foot by 18 feet. And then every year we've just added bigger and bigger sizes.
That's the original one right here, right?
That's huge.
Uh-huh. And now we do 30 by 96s, but I had to get special hydraulic benders because the pipe's that big around. So I obviously couldn't do that by hand anymore. So we have hydraulic.
How big is it? How big is it? How wide is it?
It's 2 inches. I guess it's like more like that.
Oh yeah, but it's still hard. You can't bend something.
Oh yeah,
that.
you can't bend that. No matter how much leverage, it's pretty tough.
What's
Not conduit. Not like conduit.
No, it's not conduit. It's 14 gauge, so it's 4 times the thickness of most conduit or top rail, and then it's 2 inches in diameter.
What's the wind rating on these?
I don't have an engineered wind rating, but they meet the Natural Resource Conservation Services standards for across the country. So we only do Gothic style. We do trusses on every bow. We do 4-foot spacing, and every ground post goes 3 feet in the ground. And so we actually had like our first mishap. I'm training a new crew of guys to install them, and they installed the tunnel slightly crooked. And so I caught it in time. We had to pull up ground posts. And so we had to get an 8,000 pound jack, and it took like 2 guys pushing down the end of it to just get enough leverage to pull that post out of the ground. So, I mean,
putting greenhouse together is not easy, dude. It's not as easy as it looks.
Yeah, it can be challenging. That was also one of my, like, I realized really quickly when I left my farm job to start Mindful Farmer is that I can only, if I'm the only one installing, or even if I added a few people, my ability to grow is limited to how many tunnels I can do a year, and that's a set amount. But if I can teach people how to install them, or I can make kits that people can do themselves, we can suddenly do a lot more tunnels and cover a lot more areas. And so while I'm building them, at first I was installing kits from other manufacturers, and I just had a running list of like, this is difficult. Like when you ask a customer to drill through a 2x4 and through a 2-inch thing of metal, like most homeowners don't have a drill or even the physical strength to push a bit through both of those materials. And so I was like, okay, so let's figure out a different way to do that. I'm actually going down to Texas tomorrow to pick up these prefabricated doors from our manufacturing partner. And they'll make the whole process of installing the door easier because the door is already hung on a metal frame. So it's a 4-foot wide door that's already pre-assembled.
It's one of the hardest aspects is doing in walls and doors.
Yeah, that's where most of like the tedious going long isn't the problem. It's when the tunnels get wider, and then the tediousness of the in wall. So we created a system to make it really easy, and that I know of, we're the only manufacturer in the country that's doing our end walls this way. And it's just to make it easier for homeowners to do it themselves.
I dread it every winter when I got to go and put the greenhouse because the plastic is nice. It's building the in walls because I got to rebuild the in walls every year on my Shelter Logic. My Shelter Logic greenhouse is just fine for what it is. I always tell people I did not pay for this greenhouse. They sent me this in exchange for an assembly video. And so I was going to have to buy a greenhouse regardless, and it worked out. Is it the best greenhouse? No. I don't think there's any like one size fits all. Like we're talking about wind rating, people can say something's wind rated for this and that. You got to do different things to adjust for your space. Like here in Houston, we have 110 mile an hour winds. So like, this past summer. So like I go and I add extra supports and stuff. I take my plastic off. But I probably could get away with certain things if I had to roll up sidewalls, And one of the things you can manage the heat when it's really hot is if you have higher ceilings and then those vents. If you have the higher ceilings, you can manage that heat because it's going to rise, and then the vents are going to draw it out. So I mean, there's ways of manipulating that where you don't have to take the plastic off all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I tried to design them to where they'd work for anywhere in the country. So Bowtie Live asked where we are. We're in Conway, Arkansas, so right dab in the middle. But the goal is that they can handle heavy snow because areas of the country. What was wild to me was when I found out that like America, the continental U.S. has like the worst weather on the planet. Like because we have the Great Plains and 2 big mountain ranges, we get most of the world's tornadoes happen in the U.S. and as well as most of the hurricanes happen in the Gulf and the East Coast. Yeah, and it's great. We have the 7 of the 10 greatest rainfall events ever measured happened in Texas. So it's like we just have crazy storms in the U.S. Whenever we see like these big glass greenhouses, like in Europe, they don't have the hailstorms that we have. That would never work here. So our tunnels are designed with like durability in mind, because wherever you are in the country, if you're in Florida, you get hurricanes, 120-mile-an-hour hurricane winds. If you're in Oklahoma, you get straight line winds and tornadoes. If you're in Michigan, you get 10 feet of snow. Yeah. And so they're really just designed to like just beefy, and they'll handle whatever you can throw at it. And so that was kind of our thinking as we went about designing them. It's like when I just took a trip to Michigan and I took pictures of every high tunnel farm we passed, and I'm just researching what's the standard in this part of the country, and we're just going to make sure we meet standards for anywhere. Yeah, that's kind of my approach to them.
That's so cool, dude.
Let's take a step back. If I'm a homeowner and I don't know much about high tunnels and I'm new to gardening, why would I get a high tunnel versus a greenhouse versus growing in the ground? Like, what's the benefit, the core benefit?
Great question, Josh.
Yeah, that's a great question. Because there's terminology that people use interchangeably of like high tunnel, greenhouse, polytunnel, hoop house, low tunnel, low house, hot house. Like there's all these
caterpillar
tunnel. And they're all in this umbrella of what they call protected culture. So you're doing horticulture under the protection of something. So it could be glass or plastic or polycarbonate or whatever. Low tunnels are lower, high tunnels are higher. So you're going to catch more air. You have more room to grow, but also that air mass is going to help insulate better. So typically the larger a high tunnel is, the better, because you are keeping more of that air mass protected from the outside fluctuating temperatures. I distinguish a greenhouse from a high tunnel in that a greenhouse is typically heated. So that's more of like your nursery, your prop house, or if you wanted to like overwinter tomatoes, in like a hydroponic setup, it's a greenhouse, you're putting energy to heat and cool that structure. A high tunnel is a passively heated, ventilated structure. So there's not fans and heaters. You're letting the roll-up sides and shade cloth do the work of getting heat out, and you're letting the clear plastic do the work in the sun of trapping that heat so the plants can grow. For every layer of plastic you use, you are basically moving down a plant hardiness zone. So if you're in zone 7 and you put up a high tunnel, now you're in zone 8. So you'd even have to do like probably a separate planting calendar, because now you're growing in 2 separate zones. If you put a double layer of plastic, you're in zone 9. And so it's kind of like, that's kind of a good way to think about it. So it does change how you're growing. And generally, like the plant hardiness zones, it wasn't meant to work like this, but each zone number is relative to how many frost-free months you have in a year. If you're in zone 4, typically you have 4 months where you don't have frost. If you're in zone 7, you typically have 7 months. That's not what it's intended to be, but that's just coincidentally,
I thought about it like that.
Coincidentally correlated that way. Yeah. For a lot of the country. So if you're in zone 7 and now you're in zone 8 in your high tunnel, you just gained like 2 weeks on each side of your season, possibly 4 weeks on each side of your season to grow. So you can plant earlier.
I'm getting so excited because I was thinking about like, what's the lifespan or like of polyethylene fabric from solar exposure? Like, how long does it last?
It depends, man. It's so variable.
For the plastic that we use a 6 mil polyethylene. and it's infrared protected, so it's going to let the infrared heat in and help hold more heat, and it's also anti-condensate, so it's not going to like form all that condensation that's going to drip down on your plants. We ship the plastic nationwide as well, but it has UV resistant ingredients in it to help it not degrade the way that typical plastic does in the sun.
Correct.
So
Cool.
you just go like get painter's plastic from Lowe's, it'll just turn into like little particles, which is like plastic pollution, which is the last thing you want in your organic garden. This stuff, it's made up of multiple layers, usually like 8 layers, heat welded together, and then it has those UV resistant chemicals in it. And so when it does start to kind of degrade, which is usually around year 5, usually what'll happen is it'll split. You'll just get like a long split in it, and then that's your indicator, like, hey, I really need to recycle this, and it is recyclable. It's made out of the similar material as like what grocery store bags are made out of, but a lot more durable. So it should last at least 5 years.
Usually, if it starts to break down, it's not from UV damage. Usually, it's from like hail or like you get a windstorm. Like usually, something like that happens before the UV starts going out. It's usually like a natural disaster thing.
Got it.
Jorge's got 100-foot one that blew off last year. It was nuts. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
But you have to have drip irrigation though, right? Like that's the whole idea. I mean, obviously you're not naturally watering it, or do you design systems to take advantage of natural rainfall?
No, so you're basically creating an irrigated desert, right? So it's now a desert inside your high tunnel. It never rains. The exception is that typically in heavily irrigated soils, this could be like the Midwest as well, they're pulling up groundwater, they're putting it on, there's more evaporation than there is infiltration, and you get a buildup of salts from the groundwater into the topsoil. And so you have to have rainfall, natural rainfall, flush those salts deeper in the soil profile. So in a high tunnel, especially if you use a lot of compost, which I don't recommend a ton of compost in a high tunnel. Compost can be high in salts, and you don't have rainfall, so the salt will actually accumulate in the soil. So over the course of several years, you can have buildup of salt in the soil. And what you either need to do is switch to a very like low saline water source, like maybe a pond or something like that, and do overhead irrigation for a while and like flush that salt out of the soil. Or if you're having to change the plastic every 5 years, leave it off for the winter and let it get a natural snowfall or natural rainfall and flush that soil out. So every few years, it is good to let it just have like a natural rainfall, kind of reset everything. And so if you are farming professionally and you have, 5 high tunnels, you just create a 5-year crop rotation, and every time you put one up, that becomes that one rest year, basically, where you pull the plastic off, put in a cover crop, let it get rainfall, and then restart your crop rotation.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I mean, I pretty much take my plastic off just because I'm scared of it becoming a kite, and then cover it with a shade cloth instead. So just having like a structure, I think of when y'all are asking about like what the difference between a greenhouse and a high tunnel. As far as my HOA is concerned, a greenhouse is a permanent structure. Hoop house, like carport, is like a temporary structure. I can take it down. There's nothing like, actually, as a matter of fact, my shade cloth greenhouse area, there's nothing going into the ground. It's literally just attached to 4x6s and sitting on the ground. Like there's nothing going into the ground. But because I take the shade cloth off, or I take the plastic off and instead of the shade cloth, there's no wind. Like really catching anything. So
I would love to try it out for my citrus trees. And Phil, you saw that with like Stan McKenzie. Remember, he had like a greenhouse, but he was growing in-ground citrus in his greenhouse. I don't know if his was heated or not, but I would love to see if I could do a high tunnel I've got like 30 or 40 citrus trees, and I bring them in and out of my garage, which sucks. So I'd love to set up a really long high tunnel and plant the citrus in the ground. But my concern would be, would it get too cold in the winter months? Would I need to augment it with a heater? even though it's so large. Like I couldn't get away with that probably.
For citrus, like one thing that you could do, like if you're in an area that has a pretty low frost level, like what they do, Missouri and north, is they'll actually around the edge of their high tunnels, they'll actually bury like a 2-inch foam 2 feet into the ground.
I've heard about that.
The frost from encroaching into the greenhouse soil, which could, shock your citrus roots. And so they kind of have this like little barrier that they're insulating the soil even to keep the frost out of the tunnel. And it's kind of the same zone thing applies. So if you're in zone 4 and you're in a high tunnel, you're in zone 5. So citrus wouldn't work. But if you're in zone 7, now you're in 8, and it probably would. And then you just have like a backup propane heater if you had some sort of catastrophic.
Because Josh, you're 8A, right? So you can
I'm
bump
I'm
into
8A.
9.
Oh, you'd be set.
9 is definitely good
Yeah.
for at least Satsumas, Yuzu, and a few other like Meyer lemons. And then you can just push the boundary a little bit and make sure you get those
Well, and Josh, you got plenty of fruits. I mean, the worst thing you have in the winter is like an empty greenhouse. If it's full, it stays heated, man. It stays like an empty greenhouse. You got gaps for like, cool air and hot air to collect. But like my greenhouse is packed to the gills. I keep my citrus in the middle of the greenhouse and other stuff on the outside, and it does good, dude. Like I every time I open my greenhouse, I've got citrus waiting on me like every spring. Like it's ready to go.
And really, it's getting through the nights too. Like with my greenhouse, I also have that big pickle barrel that I have in there that's all black. So I use the radiant thermal heat from that.
You make pickles in your greenhouse?
No, silly. But
it's a new product coming out. Phil's greenhouse pickles.
Pickled figs.
Pickled. We didn't even get to talk about figs. I am thinking about this winter, taking unripe figs and pickling those.
He was talking about that recently.
And jarring that.
Please try it. Let us know.
Yeah, so you can have all that, Phil. I'm not trying the pickled unripe figs. There's no way.
Have you done lacto fermenting of like ripe figs?
I've never.
No, I haven't.
Do it.
big wine. Well, sometimes you taste one, you're like, that didn't ferment correctly at all.
Yeah. I mean, like a lacto ferment, like salt, like pickles.
And like pickle up a ripe fig, even if they're a little underripe, I think that's where it's at, because you have to think like pickling is straight up a chemical reaction, right? So it's like you're literally changing the composition of the food, right? That's why I think it was like if you have all these unripe figs at the end of the season, they didn't get enough hang time. You pull them off. Yes, there's some sap flow, but it goes away. And you pickle them. You change that whole composition. I think it would work great. And but I think even like a overripe figs will be hard because I think they would literally just fall apart. You need something with structure. Yeah. And so I think we're on to something.
Okay.
Please try it.
Let me know.
Phil's pickled peduncles.
We got to add a few more words into that. That's nothing.
Phil's prickly pickled peduncle. I don't know. Phil's plump pickled peduncles.
This is the time where we start to go off the rails, maybe.
Yes, and it's Pascal's bedtime.
But you know what? I really like talking shop with you, Sean. This is awesome, man.
Yes,
I've learned it. I have a whole page of notes from you, Sean, literally, and an order to check out in your cart.
Yes, and I put the link for the mindful. It's not. I always want to say the mindful farmer. It's mindfulfarmerarkansas.com, and you can find Sean at Mindful Farmer on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. Real quick, Phil, what you got going on? What you got coming up, dude? Figtoberfest is right around the corner, dude. We've been talking.
Figtoberfest, and we were just talking with Brazoria County. They're gonna have 3 food trucks there now. And then we did a little email exchange because I really want to talk about the nerdy things of the figs worlds, because last time there seemed to be a lot of overlap in conversation. So if you guys have questions, reach out to me on if you're going to be there, what you want to see, what you want to talk about, like getting your fruit to ripen, finding varieties that do best in the different climates, synonyms, new varieties that are popular coming out that we want to dissect a little bit. So that's what I was thinking.
Very cool.
And we have opened it up to make it a complete plant swap. So if you have,
we got a plant swap table.
you have plants and you want to do a plant swap or sell some plants while you're there, I would say make sure you're legit. Make sure you got your licenses. I'm not responsible for you. You got to bring your own table, bring your own chairs. It's not going to be space for everybody to fit under the whatever you call it, the shade. So bring your own tent. But yeah, people can come and do that. I just ask that you email me at texasgardenguy@gmail.com. Now nervous that I gave my email out to everybody, but we'll find out. Just to reserve and so we can get a running total of like who's all going to be there. So, yeah,
also,
Fest is around the corner.
Yeah, that, and then also Fig Palooza, Saturday, September 6th in Greenville, North Carolina. I will be speaking there as well.
Oh yeah, both. Josh, you going?
I don't know. I got to look at my calendar. It's coming right around the corner.
What do you got? What do you got going on, Josh? What do you got coming up?
I'm going to be traveling around various places, interviewing people. I'm really getting into this agro-tourism thing, talking to farmers, seeing what they're doing, how they're growing. So I've got some trips planned in the next few months to get out there and do that. I also have a lot of trees I need to plant. So I need to do like a fun planting day. If I can train people helping me with educating them at the same time on how to plant fruit trees, that could be a good exchange.
You see what you really mean? You need some free labor. You need some labor.
Okay. I need some free labor. I'm tired of. I have such compacted clay soil. It's people on the video were like, "Your soil is really red." I'm like, "Yes, it is complete clay, hard soil." So it's just a lot of like physical breaking up of soil to plant anything that's going to make it. But I just got that and just got a bunch of. I got to redo my raised beds. I got. I'm putting in honeyberries, about a dozen honeyberry plants in like a hedge. I'm really excited about that. So just a lot of like projects mixed with traveling. Should be fun.
That's awesome.
And then exposing big box store problems, which is my new favorite thing, to walk into big box stores. And I ran into something today. I did a video on, and I hope I don't get blacklisted.
Your meta glasses like make you incognito, dude. It's almost not fair. Sean, real quick, let everybody know. Like I said, I told everybody, you have some events coming up, right? You do stuff with like Jill, right? I've been trying to get her on. Put in a good word for us.
Jill's great. Yeah, she's super knowledgeable and so sweet.
Yes.
We've got a few events coming up. I've got the Homesteading Expo in Missouri. That's coming up next weekend, and there's still tickets available. Joel Salatin's going to be there. Greg Judy's going to be there on the livestock side. They're just both awesome. I'm going to talk all about growing year round in the high tunnels. And I'll also have our booth there. I'm going to do 30% off on some of our broad forks. Like it's going to be a good time.
Josh, sounds like you need to go, Josh.
Worth the trip right there. Save some money.
And then on September 27th, which is Saturday, we're actually doing like a dinner at our house. That's also like a nighttime gardening workshop. So we're going to talk about growing cool season crops, carrots, and all the lettuces and brassicas and stuff. And it's a 12-person 5-course dinner mixed with our gardening workshop. So it's mostly just to have fun. My wife and I love to cook, and we love to host. And the goal is that we eventually, when we can find a farm and move on to our forever farm, that we could have really scale that up and hopefully have really like a lot more accessible classes and have 100 people out there and do a cool season workshop, but then also be able to have these like farm experiences and like maybe even like fine dining somewhere down the road. That's like our long-term vision, maybe 20-year vision.
That's awesome, dude. Well, hey, you've grown so much, like, you know, with the greenhouses and everything. It's so awesome to hear about your success and everything. I know you can make it happen. So I'm happy to hear that things are growing, man. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for being on again, man. We really appreciate it. I will be at Giddings at the Giddings Garden Center with Jay White from Texas Gardener Magazine on Saturday. I'll be in Dallas next week. So, and we're going to be on we're going to be on Enoch's on the.
We're going to Enoch show this Sunday.
Yes, we'll be with the Urban Gardener this Sunday. I forget what time. But I will post about it on Instagram. Y'all will see it. It'll be me, Phil, and Des on Sunday. They usually do like a round. He does like a round table every Sunday. It's gonna be so much fun. And then I'm going to Dallas. I'll be in Dallas next week. Going around. I'm probably gonna go try to see Tanner the Planner. That should be fun. I actually got an invite to go see the Big Tex Urban Garden up there by the Texas State Fair. It's like a giant like aquaponic urban garden. It's like a giant greenhouse up there. So I might be able to go do that. And then lots of stuff. And I'll be doing my Alabama trip on the 15th of September. I'm going from stopping at a million nurseries between Louisiana, Pensacola, Destin. I'm going to finally go to Destin because that's where I was named after. And then I'll be at the Great Fall Garden Festival with Cog Hill Farms, Haas Tools, Tracy over at Just Dig It, a lot of cool homesteaders. So that's gonna be a good time. I'm like a fish out of water at those homesteader conferences, but it's definitely a different crowd of people. It's definitely different compared to like just normal gardeners, So you see a good group of everybody, like preppers, canners, goat herders, people making llama yarn. It's a cool mix of people, but it's very interesting. But it'll be at Pedals in the Past in Clanton, Alabama, I think. So looking forward to that. But guys, I really appreciate y'all being on. Make sure you follow Josh Gardens, Phil's Figs, and Sean Passerra at Mindful Farmer, and we will see y'all next week, guys. Thank y'all so much. And